Perfect. So good afternoon. I have Rohet with me. He's applying for the acquisition slash disposition manager position. I'm just going to ask him a few questions to see if he qualifies for this particular position. So first off, Rohet, thank you very much for being here. And so I want to start asking you about yourself. I want to know a little bit about yourself. I want to know where are you from and also what are your personal interests?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me here, Julio. Again, my name is Rohet. I live in Ethiopia. I've been living in Ethiopia since 2018, since graduation from college. I studied in Bangkok, Thailand at an American university, Webster University. And yeah, ever since graduation, I've been living back here, working here, and yeah, this is where I'm based out of for at least the past, I'd say 6 years now. And yeah, so as far as my interests go, I love sports. I love basketball, and this is again me, Rohet, as an individual, and I love music. I love listening to hip hop and pop culture, all that good stuff. I like to keep up with the West for the most part.
Mhm.
Um, whether it's as far as business goes or just entertainment as a whole. But yeah, I've particularly been um I've had a high interest in US real estate since I've been involved in that industry for a little over 2 years now. And during my tenure in this industry, I've worked in multiple positions. I've worked as a transaction coordinator. I've worked as an acquisition agent, an operations assistant overall. So I've basically had my hand in multiple departments within this remote real estate work environment.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm not a master of each specific thing because I've always been rotated around, but for the most part, I know the ins and outs of how these departments work
Okay. Perfect.
individually. Mhm.
So you have 2 years of experience in real estate, right?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Perfect.
So it's 2 years and two separate land investment companies. So the first land investment company I joined was 2023. And I was there for, I'd say, almost a year. However, they had to they had to scale down because business was not going great, and they didn't fire me. Instead, they referred me to another real estate company because they believed my talents were, good. So
Okay.
yeah, they transferred me to the current office I'm working with, which is another land investment company based out of LA, California.
Okay. Perfect. And now
Yeah.
tell me, I want to know, well, in regards to your previous job,
Mhm.
well, you're not working right now, you said, right?
No, I am working right
Oh,
now.
you are.
Yeah, I'm employed full time. Um, yeah, I've been with this company as of April of last year.
Gotcha. And what's the main reason you want to make a change in this case, or are you looking for another job?
Yeah. Well, I feel like first off, uh, it is a great company. However, Um, I've been in situations recently where I realized how important benefits would be. There is no PTO,
Okay.
and yeah, I had to help my mom get through a stint where she was hospitalized and realizing I wasn't getting paid and, also having to take care of her. It was kind of tough, and I do generally feel underpaid. Um, and I
Okay.
think that, yeah, I think I deserve more overall.
Gotcha. Totally understand. And
Yeah.
what's your currently pay rate in this case?
So I work on a per hour basis, which
Okay.
is yeah, it's $7 an hour, regular 40-hour work week, aside from once a month where it would be 44 hours. But yeah, base
Okay.
pay of $7 and no commissions, nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah,
will be doing the same as well.
right.
Okay. All right. Now I wanted to ask you. So, I mean, what's okay, I understand what's the reason you're actually looking for another job. And obviously you have the experience in acquisition management, you have the experience in real estate. Also, was looking at your resume, you also have as a marketing manager, you know about sales. That's good. That's something we're looking for. People that can close tickets, high level tickets. And but I want to know like what kind of skills and also strengths you can bring to this particular position as an acquisition slash disposition manager.
Yes, sir. So again, as far as both acquisitions and dispositions, a majority of it in acquisitions, I've developed skills in uh, communication overall and persuasion, dealing with warm, hot leads. It takes a bit of, getting people comfortable because letting go of your land is not exactly the easiest thing to do.
Yep.
And yeah, so being able to have thorough knowledge of what I'm talking about while discussing with potential leads and just having a soft-spoken voice and good communications, I think I'm able to, get along with people quite well. And obviously I also have a very neutral accent.
Yep.
So it comes off as it gives mostly Americans a sense of comfort thinking that they're dealing with someone who sounds American-ish.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And tell me, how do you establish trust? Now that we're talking about that, how do you establish like
Mhm.
trust and credibility with customers? Can you like share
Mhm.
a specific example or
Sure.
strategies you use to build rapport?
Sure. So first off, it'll be both on my part. Again, if I don't know what I'm talking about, what I'm reaching out to them about, they would just think it's another scam call. So um, in previous cases, they would receive letters, and it's upon them reviewing these letters that I would follow up and say, hey, so we've received a signed letter of intent back from you, and I just wanted to follow up, see where we are with your property because we are interested in purchasing. And that that doesn't trust doesn't happen over our first conversation necessarily. So it requires follow up and attention to detail and actually showing interest. Because if they don't think that that as a company, as an individual, that I'm actually interested in purchasing from them, they just feel like I'm wasting their time. So there's
Okay.
constant gauging and just, updating whoever is involved along the way to make sure that, you're not just on the side. I am actually thinking about you and what any time that it takes in between to reach a decision, I'm updating them. I'm letting them know, okay, we're working on figuring out, if the property has any issues, if it's buildable, all those specifics of the property in question. And yeah, if anything else, considering I do work with licensed companies, if
Mhm.
it comes down to it, I'd be more than happy to provide, identification that this is a registered company just to put them at ease and do whatever it takes to, generally close.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, now talking about examples as well, can you please provide me with an example
Mhm.
um, of a successful sales closure where you
Mhm.
actually effectively addressed objections and convinced the customer to forward or to move forward with the purchase?
Sure. So I believe this was property in Kern County. Um, this was while I was working as an acquisition agent. So this was a widowed individual who was she actually wasn't intending on selling her property at the time. However, she was in our revisit later lead list. I reached out to her. I said, at some point, you were interested in selling to us. However, due to whatever reason, it never happened. I'd love to follow through and see if you might still be interested. She said yes. And so we got to the point where I was able to acquire everything that I would need from her to close on that sale, all documentation, which included a physical copy of her husband's death certificate. And I was able to convince her to mail over all her documentation, get the deed recorded in our name. However, her death, the original death certificate had been stuck with the county for about almost 8 weeks. Yeah. And that was an issue. She was always like, what are you guys doing? Why am I not receiving it? Little did she know counties don't exactly operate at the same pace as, businesses. But working with both parties, trying to inform her, okay, so I just contacted the county. The deed has already been recorded and she was paid. She already did receive payment. It's just a matter of, waiting on hearing back from the county and they'll mail you the document directly. And I provided her with contact information if she chose to do so. And yeah, I was basically keeping her calm that she didn't lose the one original copy of her husband's death certificate and until she finally received it. I had to make sure that I wasn't just dealing with, the lead in this case, but also government agencies to facilitate that she receives her belongings back.
Definitely. So you took ownership then. I mean, you were dealing with other things that basically you didn't have to, right? But you wanted
Yeah.
to help her out to actually close that sale in this case. And yeah,
Exactly. It wasn't because we were long past closing, but I she trusted me enough to send those documents, and it was
right.
only fair that I was able to get them back to her.
Perfect. And
Yep.
tell me, how do you handle rejection or negative responses from customers?
It's an opportunity to learn. Not everybody is going to be a happy customer. That's to be expected. But I mean, you persist, you try your best to make sure, we're trying to offer them the best. If that doesn't work out, again, I don't expect to have 100% success rate with all clients I deal with. If rejection comes along the way, it's going to be a very small portion and it is to be expected. If anything, it's a learning lesson to know what you could do different. And I'm always, open to constructive criticism. That's how I take rejection. It's something I know I can do better. Oh, Julio, I think you're on
I'm
mute.
sorry. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. You're back.
Okay, excellent. So I want to know, well, I want you to give me an example of a negative interaction that you actually turn into a positive one.
Mhm. Sure. So it's not exactly completely negative, but more about, again, this is acquisitions related, where a person they're hot and cold about whether they want to sell their property or not. So one minute they're super excited, they see the numbers, they're like, okay, we're ready to let it go. And um, then they're like, nah, I changed my mind. So I basically dealt with a client in that scenario where I persisted enough where I wanted to keep them hot on their toes. It's very important to get someone under contract and inform them that, it's binding first off, and additionally, there's a reason that they were interested in letting this item go, this property go in the first place. So I constantly followed up, even though they were like, I don't know. I was basically just reassuring them that they were making the right decision in the first place to proceed with selling their property. It took probably longer than it usually would. But again, through constant follow up and just reminding them that how important it is to, stick to what they originally intended. Um, Again, I was able to close on a deal with that kind of situation. Again, it's just being consistent with the client. Oh, you're on mute again. Sorry.
I'm sorry for that. Yeah, I'm
It's all good.
sorry. So, okay. Now, let me ask you, what do you think makes a salesperson successful?
Um, Again, persistence, persuasion, and um, it's not just the product you're selling. Like the buyer should realize they shouldn't feel like they've been used. They should feel like, I'm still getting what I wanted out of this. So it's basically making the customers like their wants, their ambitions come true. So a salesperson, they might not realize that they need or want that commodity or whatever the case is, but a good salesman, that's what they do best. It's making you believe and
Yep.
know that what you thought you might have wanted is indeed actually what you wanted.
Creating that necessity. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
And tell me,
So yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what experience do you have like in building and managing sales teams in this case? Can you give me an example of how you improve the sales team performance if you have any experience on that?
Um, no, I don't have, not in this in the real estate
Okay, but in another
sector. Yeah.
industry.
So previously it was KPIs really matter when it comes to sales. So as I worked in a marketing managerial role, I used to basically also overlook the sales of multiple stores for the commodity. So it would be setting goals to achieve by the salespeople through, well, I would support marketing material, whereas they have to go ahead and close. I would get people through the door, but once those people are through the door, it's in their hands now. So we would expect a certain amount of sales either daily, weekly, or monthly. And yeah, I guess that's what would relate most to, and managing sales activities in this
Okay,
role.
got you.
Um,
And now,
yeah.
well, let me ask you now. Well, the thing that's good that you have the managerial experience and it. Well, it doesn't matter if
Mhm.
it's not related to real estate, but at least you do have a managerial experience managing teams, people. So yeah, that's good.
Right.
Now, What experience, oh, I'm sorry, oh, can you please describe your approach to identifying and also qualifying leads? What criteria do you consider when determining which leads are most likely to convert into a sales?
Okay. I mean, there's obviously uh the level of interest these potential leads show. If it's just individuals that are trying to see how much their property or whatever is worth, you can kind of tell where they're like, oh, but I was expecting this. If say if there are realistic numbers being mentioned, I was hoping to get this amount of money for this property. You
Mhm.
can you can at least say, okay, we can kind of match that or at least get close to it. So that would be like more of a hot lead. However, if these are leads that are just saying, oh, so I just came across property and I don't know what to do with it. I was hoping maybe I could get your input for it. I mean, it's pretty easy. At that point, you could say, okay, I'd be interested in purchasing this lot for this amount of money. And whether they choose to go with that or not, that's up to them. But it wouldn't exactly necessarily be a hot lead because again, they haven't done their research or they don't really know what to do with what they have. And a cold lead would just be someone who's outright wasting your time, just calling to say, talking about something totally unrelated, which is not properties or anything like that, or someone who's just um, not aggressive wouldn't be out of the ordinary, but just vulgar.
Mhm.
That I mean, if it's vulgar in terms of, you know, oh, I thought it would be this, but you're actually offering me this. How dare you? Yada, yada, yada. Those are still leads you can work with. But if it's just someone saying, don't ever contact me again, you are a terrible company or whatever, just for
Mhm.
the sake of saying it, that's a cold lead. That's not worth investing any time into. And yeah, I guess that again, I would usually work with leads that were provided for me. So it's just the level of interest these leads are showing that gets them to the point of hot, cold, medium leads.
Now, Rohet, so I want to tell you this client, it's actually looking for someone that can stay in the company for years. So I want to know what are your long-term career goals?
Well, I would love to further develop again within this sector, within real estate. Um, and considering it's an office where the culture is not toxic, where there are actually traits to the office that make me want to go to work the next day and get that money. Um, where I feel properly and incentivized,
Yeah,
I am 100% committed to a long-term commitment. It's not just in and out. You know, that doesn't look good for either one of us if it's just a temporary thing. I don't
of
want to
course.
hurt my reputation either.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
And now talking in regards to the technical side. So I'm sure you have your headsets or earphones. I'm sure you have your
Yeah.
computer, everything set up. So I'd like to know in case there's any like power outage or any
Mhm.
internet issues, what kind of backup do you have for those kind of situations?
So I don't work from home for the most part. I work from a workspace where there is a backup generator to keep power going. And additionally, I have a wireless dongle where I can hotspot that dongle for nonstop connectivity.
Okay.
It might be a brief outage, but nonetheless, I'll be able to resume work seamlessly for the most part. So yeah, I do have backup options as far as power and internet.
Okay. So you work in a workspace, right? It's
Yeah.
outside your house? Oh, okay, okay. With
Yes. Yeah.
some other like friends or people. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
since the hours I work are pretty late, right now it's 1 a.m. local time.
Mhm.
It's the office is empty, so it's not like there's any distractions or other chatter too much going on.
Okay, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. And yeah, I think that will be all. Let me just go ahead and stop the recording.